Okay, good evening. I'm going to call the July 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of the Town Board to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz. Councilmember Delarada.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Brennan.
Here.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We wish to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanikihaka and the Mexicanoc peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the peoples who have stewarded this land throughout generations. This acknowledgement statement was developed by our previous town historian, Dennis Brennan, and in working to move this forward and not just acknowledge that our land is on traditional indigenous land, but we also want to acknowledge that colonization led to significant negative impacts on tribal communities that continue to exist to this day. And I would like to take this opportunity to share an informational video from the National Institute of Justice about violence against Native American and Indigenous peoples in the United States. Town Planner Robertson, please.
Stories of American Indians and Alaskan Natives are as varied and nuanced as the people themselves.
Is it at the beginning?
But the latest study from the National Institute of Justice finds one trembling through line that links.
Yes. Thank you, dear.
The stories of American Indians and Alaskan Natives are as varied and nuanced as the people themselves. But the latest study from the National Institute of Justice finds one trembling through line that links these stories. The experience of high rates of violence. Like songs and oral histories, science can raise awareness by quantifying the severity of violence. It's time to hear what the numbers are saying. The vast majority of American Indian and Alaska Native women and men have experienced violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 3 have experienced recent violence in the past year. Those levels are higher than the general population, but that's not where the inequalities end. The study also measures a range of impacts as well as services needed because of violence. What's behind those numbers? Let's start with the finding that for American Indians and Alaska Natives, violence doesn't discriminate by gender. Women and men share similar rates of victimization. That means almost 3 million American Indian and Alaska Native women and men have been victims of violence. To put that number in perspective, imagine if everyone in the state of Iowa stood up, or every resident of Orlando, Dallas, Detroit, Anchorage, and Atlanta combined. That's the scale of the violence. But what about the scope? The NIJ study breaks types of violence into 4 categories, and violence against American Indians and Alaska Natives is high across all of them. Take stalking, for example. It can be a gateway to more aggressive violence, and repeated, unwanted, fear-inducing experiences come in many forms. Lifetime estimates of stalking for women in the study are almost double those of non-Hispanic whites. Add male and female victims together, and that's more than 1.2 million people. That would clear 20 sports stadiums if every single ticket holder had been stalked. Being forced or coerced to engage in unwanted sexual activity is another form of violence, a form all too familiar to American Indians and Alaska Natives. For example, these mothers, daughters, and sisters face almost 2 times the risk of sexual violence with penetration as non-Hispanic white women. Overall rates of physical violence by intimate partners in the past or present are even higher, from being shoved to having a gun or knife used on them. More than 1 in every 2 women and more than 1 in every 3 men have experienced physical violence by intimate partners in their lifetimes, comparatively much higher than the physical victimization rates over the lifetimes of non-Hispanic whites. Of course, not all violence is sexual or physical, so the NIJ study also examined psychological aggression. For example, expressions of anger that seem dangerous or humiliating, or controlling access to birth control. Overall, psychological aggression affects more than 1 in every 2 women and men. Psychological aggression may not be as obvious as broken bones or bruises, but it is real. Among victims, 63% of women report partners tracking them, and 55% of women report being kept from family or friends. These are just a few findings, but remember, they are numbers that correspond to real victims who would fill the entire state of Iowa. Now picture if 97% of women and 90% of men in Iowa were victimized by people of other races and ethnicities, interracial perpetrators who violated the safety of their schools, workplaces, parks, homes, and bedrooms. Numbers alone don't tell the whole story, but they do point to a dangerous gap. Most federally recognized tribes don't have the legal authority to criminally prosecute non-Indians, even for crimes committed on tribal lands. So, what does it all mean? The impacts of high rates of violence against American Indians and Alaska Natives range from missed days of work or school to physical injuries. It's not surprising that services are needed, like medical care to treat injuries. But here's where the NIJ results uncover another glaring disparity. Almost 40% of female victims who need services can't get them, compared with only 15% of non-Hispanic white female victims who fall through the cracks. American Indians and Alaska Natives deserve better, and now there is science to prove it. These numbers are not abstract, but they are witness to real people, mothers, girlfriends, brothers, and grandfathers. Our hope is that this study will lead to a story of a new beginning, one where all of us listen to what the science is saying, what the victims are saying, and unite to prevent violence wherever it happens.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the May 28, 2024 regular town board meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the May 28th, 2024 regular town board meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Are there any changes to those minutes? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. Now we're going to go a little out of order because we have a very special ceremonial resolution this evening, and we'll be honoring Chief Dale Lingenfelter for his years of service to Niskayuna Fire District 1. That is Resolution 2024-193, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A ceremonial resolution recognizing and honoring Dale Lingenfelter for his years of service to the Niskayuna Fire Department Number 1.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'd like to thank the chief for his years of service and dedication to the town and to Fire District 1. I've known Dale and his wife, Lisa, my entire life. I grew up across the street from them and grew up with their kids. And I've had the honor of being a member of the chief's department for almost 20 years now. And the fire department is a very diverse group of professionals from different social, political, economic beliefs. But we put all of our differences aside and we work together to carry out to provide a life-saving service to the town. And Chief Lingenfelter, with his knowledge and professionalism, admirably led us on that mission. So, Chief, thank you for your years of service to the department and to the town. It's great to see so many of our members here tonight, so thank you. And thank you to the members of our mutual aid companies who are also here tonight.
I'd also like to thank Chief Lingenfelter. I was the chair of the Police and Public Safety Committee for many years and saw him pretty much on a regular monthly basis at our police and public safety meetings. His professionalism and expertise in the field of firefighting, EMS in our area and statewide was a valuable, very valuable resource to this town. Recently, we are getting AEDs in our parks. Well, who did we turn to? Chief Lingenfelter, because he knows what the rules are, helps the town make sure they're in compliance with the rules. And again, just a person that you could always go to when you needed some information about safety or firefighting in the town. He was the go-to guy. And again, thank you for your service.
And on behalf of Niskuna District 2, thank you as well.
Thank you so much, Chief, for your years of service. It's been a pleasure to get to know you over the past 2.5 years. And I know we'll be seeing each other around town. I want you to enjoy your retirement with your family, and hopefully you get to do all your favorite things. Yeah.
Just real quick, I want to thank the town board and all the.
Hold on, Chief. We'll give you
Wait a
mic.
minute now, we got a microphone here.
We got to capture it.
You don't want to do that.
Capture it.
Yes, we do.
No, I just wanted to thank the town board and the heads of all the town departments and the members of the town departments, because the fire district doesn't do this alone. It's very much a partnership between all the different departments. Everybody has a role, and the collaboration, cooperation, communication between all of us really makes it work to keep our community safer. So thank you very much.
There is no other discussion. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Councilmember Moskowitz, would you like to go ahead and take the mic and
I'm not done yet.
Oh, no, you're not getting off easy, Chief.
They'll second that. All right. So the resolution reads, the following resolution was offered by Councilmember Moskowitz, who moved its adoption, and seconded by Councilmember McPartlin. Be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Niskuna as follows. Whereas Dale Lingenfelter served the Town of Niskuna with honor for 38 years until his retirement on June 29th, 2024. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter earned an associate's degree in electrical engineering technology from the State University of New York at Canton and a bachelor's degree in fire service administration from Empire State College. And whereas Chief Lingenfelter started his career as a volunteer firefighter in 1979 and joined Niskuna Fire District Number 1 in 1986, where he served for 4 years until becoming a career firefighter paramedic in 1990 and promoted to lieutenant in 1995. And whereas Chief Lingenfelter was appointed provisional fire chief in January of 2006 and permanently appointed to chief later that same year and served in that role for 18 years. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter served as a member and chairman of the Paid Officers Committee for the New York State Association of Fire Chiefs until he joined their board of directors in 2018. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter served as a member and chair of the Schenectady County Fire Advisory Board and served as a development committee and executive committee member and technical team manager of the New York State Urban Technical Search and Rescue Program. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter is an actively involved member of the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the New York State Fire Marshals and Inspectors Association, the International Code Council, and the National Fire Protection Association. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter has served as an instructor for New York State and Schenectady County and for the Office of Emergency Management, and as an adjunct professor at Schenectady County Community College. And whereas Dale Lingenfelter has brought the highest degree of fire safety and firefighting professionalism to the town of Niskuna, participating in numerous community outreach and townwide events such as Niska Day, the fire station Halloween parties, holiday parades, and community safety trainings. And now, therefore, be it resolved on this 23rd day of July in 2024, in recognition of Chief Dale Lingenfelter's record of extraordinary service, the Niskuna Town Board offers its personal commendation and applauds Chief Lingenfelter for his dedication, hard work, and commitment to the safety of Niskuna residents.
Congratulations, Chief. Okay. All set? All right. All right, to begin my remarks, I would like to address the July 9th Town Board meeting. I'm very disappointed by how the meeting deteriorated. There were several failings, and I want to take accountability for my actions and moving forward, ensure that we are following proper etiquette for government meetings. Hurtful, disrespectful, and personal attacks have no place in our town meetings. Civil discourse and respect must be maintained. I ask this of every resident and town board member and myself. I want to thank you all for attending the town board meetings. It benefits our community when citizens are engaged. And with that in mind, privilege of the floor is now open.
Dana Breezy? Dana?
Couple things, Jamie. Twice I've asked you to address the franchise fee, Jamie, from Spectrum, and I haven't heard any blowback on it or feedback from you. If not, why? Also, the other day another thing, are they going to be fixing the road in front of Co-op where it's all that concrete? And next, I saw a water and sewer truck from Niskuna on the corner of Van Antwerp Road and Plum Street the other day. No lights on the truck. A 3-foot by 3-foot square on the corner there was open but filled with gravel. And there was one guy wrapping some tubing around his arms and 4 guys standing there watching him. Those are like state workers. I don't think that's fiscally responsible or fiscally sustainable. I also saw on the Niskuna Ring website that they're talking about hiring an agency for public relations. And if that's the case, I think it should be on your time and on your dime. You work for the town, not the other way around.
Tanya? Yep.
Pass it down when you're done looking at it.
Okay.
Maybe not now, but when I tell you. Probably have to sign that. There's this one I'm going to speak. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Rossi. I'm a single disabled mother, 39 years old, who's been disabled since I was 16. I was in a horrific, you can start looking at the photo album if you want to.
Okay.
I was in a horrific car accident, which flipped over 3.5 times, landed on the roof. I got crushed by the roof, 10 inches. I sustained a broken wrist, 3 surgeries, torn ligaments, and 2 cysts, a sprained right shoulder, a cracked left pelvic bone, and a torn left labrum. I have a hole in my shin. And to save my life, my forehead had to be taken out for 3 months because of a shaken baby syndrome head injury that I sustained. So I've never worked. I've never filed any taxes. I've never had a job. Happened when I was 16. I don't have any income besides the child support from my child's father. And I had support from my father and boyfriends and odds and ends and whatnot. My father had passed away. I was able to claim on his disability account from Judge Powers that I had a hearing a couple years ago in July of 22. And so I had realized that I was eligible, or I had the ability to file this. Being how last year's taxes were approved for that credit or for that discount or exemption. And so the assessor's office was negligent in giving me the proper paperwork to fill out for someone who doesn't file federal taxes. I've never filed anything. How would a disabled person know that unless I had the guidance of the assessor's office? And so, I went down to speak to the director's assistant because they had me going all over town to speak to people to file these papers because they're not allowing me to file that paperwork right there. And she's like, "Oh my God, Tanya, how did you finally figure this out?" I'm like, "Well, through disability, it's a bunch of stuff." So anyways, and then I spoke to Justin Colarossi of the crime investigator of the district attorney office, and he told me that the assessor's office had been billing me incorrectly since day one because I'm not even on payroll of any sort of any kind. I was like, "Oh, okay." So, and I know that Joanne Shiliak of the Niskuna assessor's office recently had got switched around jobs because of her work performance in the places, and she's got switched around. Maybe that has something to do with it. Anyways, I am here to want to file that paperwork and to get my money back from the exemption that I got accepted. It was accepted last year, and now I'm trying to file that paperwork, and I was told to do this. Yeah. From Eric, who's sitting right behind me. He said, deny, he's like, denied, get a lawyer. I was just trying to have a conversation with him. And then he literally kicked me out of his office. And I don't know what to do. My father had passed away. I don't want to be here talking to you guys. I just want to, what's proper. And so here I am trying to get my money back according to your paperwork and what you guys tell me to do. Is that it? Oh, do you guys respond or no? They can't. Oh, they're not. Oh, they don't respond. Oh, okay. Oh, so then I walk away. Oh, my apologies. I thought you guys said stuff. My apologies. Oh,
That's horrible.
what's up?
That's horrible, your accident. That's horrible.
I know. I know. And the reason why I had to have multiple surgeries was because when they put my forehead back in, he ran into complications. He had to take out my temples. Then a month after that surgery, the screws they put in my head came out. So I had 2 holes here and then 4 screws popping out. Then at the 3rd surgery, he put down titanium mesh and more screws.
Would you like to speak to us later about
I'm
that?
sorry. So that's, yeah, I know. Thank you for your compassion.
Hi, I'm Dan Sexton, Rosendale Estates. I'd like to speak to the board to urge the board to rescind Resolution 2023-149. At the April 30, 2024 board meeting, Supervisor Pusciani stated, "By town law, we are not allowed to use the general fund to subsidize water and sewer funds." That's a direct quote. Using this as part of the justification for the resolution, she was wrong. General Municipal Law 454 states that the establishment and imposition of sewer rents shall not prevent the use of other revenues of the town sewer district for the payment of a part of the costs of the operation of the sewer system. So we can. It appears that by New York state law, the town can use general funds to offset costs, at least in the sewer systems, and I suspect as well in the water systems, since there seems to be no law restricting that either. Additional Resolution 2023-149 appears to have several other problems. First, it doesn't follow New York or Niskayuna town law for the establishment of rates for Sewer District 6, which states that there are two components to the rate: collection and treatment. Collection costs are to be shared equally, and treatment rates can be based on water consumption. That's not how the resolution sets the rates at all. Secondly, for Resolution 2023-149, it referenced New York Town Law, Article 12, Section 198 as justification, but left out a key element, that it only applies where rates have been set by May 1st, 1951, and this is not the case for Sewer District 1. I believe town law must first establish how the rates are to be determined first, and a resolution by itself is not town law. Third, the notice of the required public hearing on sewer rates did not follow the minimum requirements for the New York State Open Meetings Law. That states when a public body has the ability to do so, notice of the time and place of a meeting given in accordance with the subdivision 1 or 2 of this section shall also be conspicuously posted on the public body's internet website. The notice was not conspicuously displayed on the town's website. The public hearing, and thus legality of the resolution itself, can be called into question. Fourth, the resolution establishes a special commercial rate for businesses, citing New York state law, and the passage being making proper allowance for commercial use of water. And I believe the term commercial use, I'm familiar with this in intellectual property law, does not mean any business using water, but rather that the water is used in a product the business sells. The board seems to have morphed that term of the term commercial use into commercial entity. In conclusion, to protect the town against possible litigation in the future, I asked the town board to rescind 2023-149, as it appears to me to be flawed, and the town board should follow state law and mandated procedures for passing an appropriate town law, giving them the authority to set the rates, and then go ahead and move forward with commercial or residential rates for Sewer District 1 and Sewer District 6. As it stands now, town seems to be signaling out discriminating against small businesses, and New York state law also states that rates should be fair and equitable, and currently they're not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Yankel.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's a nice crowd that turned out tonight, and I'm here to talk about a couple of different subjects again. First and foremost, I agree with what the supervisor said in her remarks, that conversations at the town board meeting should be civil and respectful. That goes for everybody that's in the room. I don't think there's room for political attacks here either. Better off to make points by talking about facts rather than getting personal. That's my opinion on it. I see that there's a resolution 2024-192 that Mr. Moskovitz has proposed, which is to acknowledge residential business concerns about the rate hikes and the billing practices. I'm hopeful that in the time between last month and this month, the town board members and the supervisor and principals have gotten together and talked this over. You certainly recognize that there's been a tremendous amount of public outcry about this. I think it could have been done smarter and it could have been easier. So I hope to see that this is passed with full support, and you take a strong, hard look at what the current rate design is. I want to note that the spending that's going on in the budget, particularly in the water district budget, has gone up by about $4 to $5 million in the past 3 years. The combined aggregated water and sewer budgets in 2021 and previous years was around $9 million, 9.2. In 2022, that aggregated budget spending went to 10.3 million. 2023, it hit 11.1 million. And in 2024, our current budget is at $12.8 million. And so when you talk about having a balanced budget, you can balance a budget at any monetary value. You can balance a budget at $1, $50, $500, $5 million. You've got to make sure that you've got the revenue to cover the expenditures. And my point here is that if we're continuing to ramp up the expenditures in the water and sewer district at a rate of where we're exceeding, for example, just very quickly, the transmission and distribution line item in the budget for the water district for the last 7 years has been averaging between about $780,000 and $800,000, very flat. But in 2023, it ballooned to $1.5 million, and it went to $2 million in 2024's budget, basically tripling. So that's telling me that you're doing a lot of work, either in infrastructure and things like that, which is good to do, except for if you try to recover all that money, the only way you're going to get it, if you're going to do this in a couple of shots like these 6-month bills, is by increasing this rate design astronomically. And that's the fallout of taking a budget and ballooning it to do things. So that's my point on that. If you're looking at this resolution tonight, some of the things that you need to do is take a look at your spending levels. I also want to just mention quickly, I know I'm just about out of time, I'm a member of the American Legion. We are a small business. We're right on Union Ave. We've been there since 1945, but we've been in the town since the 30s. I've looked very closely at our finances. Our annual bill, including the property taxes, was about $520. It's now $2,000. We just don't have the money to, that's us paying our bill 4 times in a year now. We can't handle that. It's way too much. And the last thing, and I'll finish, I appreciate a different subject. I appreciate all the hard work that the committee has gone into looking at the town logo. I would have liked to seen more history in this logo design because we are a town that's rich in history. And I would have liked to seen the town have an opportunity to vote on this. Maybe some logos presented on the town website and giving the citizens an opportunity to weigh in on it. So thank you.
Diane O'Donnell.
I'm Diane O'Donnell, residing at 1921 Mayfair Road. For 8 years, I sat where you all are sitting tonight, and I'm guessing I listened to residents of privilege of floor probably over 100 times. So I know it's not easy to sit back quietly with no response to what residents are saying to you and even about you, but unfortunately, that's your job. During my time on the board, we definitely dealt with some really tough issues that filled the boardroom with residents and once even the cafeteria at Iroquois with police officers as well. Things that are said may not always be fair or even true, yet we do have to recognize when issues relate to residents' quality of life, property values, and finances, emotions run high and tempers can flare. But as a town board member, one should remain calm, professional, and be empathetic to the people, even if it's not easy to do. During my terms as a town board member, we did not always agree on some matters, and there were certainly some very lively discussions, but we kept things civil among us. We field accusations and some insults from residents, but we remained civil to the residents as well. It seems that halfway through my second term, things changed. The newly elected supervisor, prior to the organizational meeting, told myself and a colleague that he did not need our votes since he had 3 to get things done. Town board meetings went from twice a month to once a month. Resolutions, not even a summary, are no longer read at meetings. I was not included, and others were not included or invited to meetings to discuss issues, and my experience and opinions were ignored. The supervisor treated me with little respect, and this was also the experience of other elected officials and many town employees. I'm thinking that at least one of our current town board members can relate to some of the things I'm saying. It's my belief this is why the residents did not re-elect the last supervisor and others. It is certainly the reason I did not seek re-election, and I changed my political party registration so as not to be associated with this bad behavior. The next supervisor tried to make things better. But here we are again with bad behavior. I'm baffled how educated individuals can treat residents, committee members, and other board members with such disrespect. You were each elected by the people of Niskayuna, and when you disrespect some, you disrespect all of us. I'm also baffled by what box an individual checks off at the Board of Election can cause such disdain. Why are these labels put on people? In fact, a label was even put on me at a public meeting, and it wasn't even a correct label. The town indicates that it strives for diversity, but apparently that does not extend to the political party registration or residents' opinions. Once you take your oath of office, you represent all of us. I am appalled by the supervisor's attacks on Councilman Moskowitz and belittling comments made to the residents. I was dismayed how the supervisor removed quality residents from committees and duties, and even spoke inappropriately about a committee member at a public meeting. So I'm thinking, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm also disappointed that you as town board members sit by and allow this to happen without a word or any effort to stop the behavior and keep the board meetings on track if the supervisor chooses not to. I commend Councilman Moskowitz for remaining calm and redirecting meetings. I know that the town board sometimes has to take action based on laws, regulations, and financial issues that are not popular to the public. But from my experience, I know it's possible to be civil, professional, and kind. I know it's possible to disagree but be respectful. I know it's possible to sympathize with the concerns of residents and provide good solutions and explanations to the people. Let's do better.
Marina Franchild.
Marina Franchild, 2200 Dean Street. I want to thank Jamie, I don't know if that was you who did that video. That was fabulous. Thank you. Very meaningful. Recently, local politics in Niskayuna have gotten markedly contentious. And I agree with what you said, Jamie. I think that it's time to dial back the vitriol on both sides and work collaboratively in a civil manner. It's important to note that people and places closest to us are where we tend to direct our energy so we feel represented, and Niskayuna town government can become one such place. It's critical that the inherent partnership between Niskayuna residents and those elected to represent us should reflect the town board meetings and in infrastructure changes that impact residents' daily economic lives. Jamie, as a supervisor, is the treasurer of the town and generally represents the town in the conduct of its financial affairs. I understand why you presented the slideshow to town residents several months ago. You have a huge responsibility. However, there's been much confusion. GAAP, that's GAAP, principles dictate that a nonprofit town like Niskayuna function on an accrual balance sheet rather than cash basis, which is revenue or profit statement. Accrual principles are harder to understand and encompass more transactions than a cash basis, so more explanation is needed. A revenue statement simply subtracts expenditures from revenues, whereas a balance sheet also considers assets and future liabilities, including depreciation. Both financial forms use the words revenue and deficits, but the meaning of these words is different for both sheets. Explanations of accrual principles are needed to mitigate confusion. Some questions. Why didn't the town board know that there was a huge need for raised water rates? Why were prior budgets approved without taking sewer depreciation into account? How much due diligence went into such approvals with a signature boilerplate? Why did kicking the can from previous administrations lands on us, the residents? Where is board controller accountability? Some board members have been around for years. Why wasn't the increase tiered in over a few years? Beth, as the town controller, I think that it would be very helpful if you met with town residents who may not understand how you established the new rates in an interactive Q&A. I know that you have disagreed with some analyses presented at these meetings, yet it would serve us better if you took leadership instead of letting your body language at meetings present your disagreements. You often shake your head no. as part of an ad hoc group across party lines that have been very confused and offended by the seeming callousness and/or indifference of the town boards who are concerned, I filled out a FOIL request to gain access to town budgets and balance sheets over the past several years. This information was provided to an independent party for analysis. To date, no comprehensive analysis has yet been returned to us, and any remarks related to the same were premature. Should irregularities arise, this ad hoc group may request an external audit. We need a responsive local government, and it is not too late to regain our trust. We need a Q&A. Communication is key. Thank you for listening.
Nora Galto.
Good evening. My name is Nora Galto. I reside at 1049 Palmer Avenue, and I'm in Sewer District Number 1. But I want to speak today about Resolution 2024-182, approving the town's AED implementation plan as required by New York State Public Health Law. First and foremost, I want to give kudos to the town for what looks to me as a very well-crafted and comprehensive AED policy and AED implementation plan. But I do have a concern with page 2 of 9, where the policy addresses training. I would suggest that maybe an amendment to the AED policy be made before the resolution is adopted. And to me, the policy is too narrow for the training. In summary, New York State website says requires camps and youth sports programs to establish an AED implementation plan, which you've done really well. It requires camps and youth programs to have at least one person trained to use such defibrillators at camps, games, and practices. That's where I think it's too narrow, because it doesn't require that a town provide the trained person, but rather that a trained person be present. So to me, the town needs to I'm thinking, rewrite the training paragraph to make it more general, have it an easily modified list of trained personnel, and to allow other non-town employees to fill that role. The policy needs to be written not to name specific people, because all camp counselors and lifeguards and other people who are in those kinds of activities generally should be trained in CPR and AED. And the town should be verifying the credentials as part of that reservation system for a facility or a field. And if an organization does not provide evidence of a person trained and certified in AED, then the town should charge a fee to that organization if they want to use one of the town's employees. I would rather see a statement, though, that no event will be scheduled unless the organization using the facility provides a trained person at all times. I just don't want to see any of the responsibility and the cost going to town residents. That's all my concern was. And I'm not sure that that would happen if it's required that it be a town employee who participates in these events. If it can be somebody else who's qualified and no cost to the town, I'm okay with it. But I didn't understand that from the training paragraph. And that was it. Before I end, I just want to do a shout out to Councilman Moskowitz for resolution number 2024-192, acknowledging the concerns of residents regarding the recent change in utility and billing practices. I appreciate your efforts to mitigate the financial burden on the residents, and I pray that you get a second on that resolution. Thank you.
Gail King.
Good evening. I'm Gail King. I live on Balltown Road. I have property on Knott Street, Crescent Road, and Clifton Park Road. For this example, it was suggested that I stick to complaints about the water bills in Niskuna. Here goes. Water bill calculations should be simple. They are not. We all get the same kind of water, residents and business. Why the commercial and add-on fees? Our 4 properties all been calculated differently. 2215 Knott Street went up 5 times for the year. If the rates don't go up again, it will be $2,345 with no increase in usage. What are you going to do with this money? You will be getting almost 6 times what you have now, or what you had before. I would like to see a pause on the next 6 months bill to the old rates. Show us the so-called shortfalls deficit we are dealing with. Town board, town water department, show us how and when this long-term need occurred for permanent increases in 5 or 6 times our previous rate. I would like to see a plan to mitigate the cost of repairs and improvements rescinded and businesses make or are mandated to make by town boards and town planners. I'm not quite sure I understand that myself. Such as the retention pond at 2215 Crescent Road. Water stands in this pond for days while the mosquitoes hatch. You want to reduce water consumption and prevent water loss? Give us some kind of rebate program that encourages residents, landlords, businesses, and everyone to be proactive. You take our money, give us no answers. What are the actual figures or the cost of running the sewer water department? There are repair costs every month for the water and sewer department. Why are there new employees almost every month? Thank you. Gail King.
That is all I had from my list. Leslie Gold.
Leslie Gold. I wanted to thank this current town board for picking up the ball on getting the organic waste contracts going. I see there's a resolution tonight for another one on 2024-183. This helps the town in its goal of a net zero sewer plant, and that's important. It's good for the environment, and it's also good for the sewer finances. By taking in this and treating it, the town gets some money ahead. And it really is great to see this material properly treated. So it's not out there being dumped illegally and contaminating our land or neighboring land. I also want to make a couple comments about the utility bills. State finance law is very complicated. It's not all in one neat place. Addition to regular municipal law, there's a bunch of rules and regulations on the controller site that guide the towns and other municipalities in how they can spend reserve funds. Using it to offset some things is just not appropriate. And when the controller's office does its municipal audits, it does call them to task for such things. There are similar restrictions on use of regular reserve funds. They are there for a particular purpose. And I will also note that people have complained consistently at budget hearings for several years now about eating up the reserve funds to offset other things and offsetting and using up the fund balances. So now the town board is doing the responsible thing and trying to get things to align properly. And they're being criticized for that. Doesn't seem fair.
Hi, John Marr. I'm at 2521 Antonio Drive. I just want to report and thank you. We had a nice EV fair on Saturday. Appreciate the opportunity to have this really wonderful fair. It was a beautiful day. There were over 20 cars being shown. The owners of the cars, I think, were proud to help to educate people who are interested in EVs. Lots of people came by, asked about them, and of course, as you know, if enough people in Niskuna buy some more EVs, it brings in more town money, which is going to be positive for everyone. It was a good time. I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to have a very successful event. It was very nice. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Allison Marinucci. I live at 2280 Nelson Drive. I am a resident and a mom with a child in our school district. I wanted to thank Supervisor Puccioni for taking accountability for last week's meeting. I am here to specifically put on the record regarding the behavior I've witnessed at the last meeting, although I will say the folks that came up before me were very respectful and cordial and not personal. I don't live under a rock, so I know the water bill has been a point of contention for a lot of residents. I will admit it was a shock for myself and many other residents to see their bill dramatically increase. I believe the board and the supervisor have said that the communication was not initially sufficient, and they've tried to ensure transparency through mailing, social media posts, phone conversations with residents. I do also want to put on the record that when this was passed, it was unanimous and bipartisan. It was unanimous and bipartisan. Every single person voted yes. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. It does seem like it is nuanced. Perhaps a Q&A would be better. I am not elected, so it's really not up to me. But what troubles me is the level of vitriol and personal malevolence I had seen directed toward this body and specifically the supervisor. Our elected officials are appointed by us, the residents. They're here to represent us and our interests. When they're not aligned, it's our right and our duty to question and organize and advocate for change. That's democracy at its best. When it's used to spew hatred, it's tainted. I've seen it here, unfortunately, where residents can use this platform not to question, not to challenge, not to suggest, but to harass and bully. What's telling to me, it's been the same individuals, though thankfully I haven't seen anyone at this particular meeting, who never seem to stay to hear any responses to the grievances. I think that's telling. I hope we can remember we're neighbors. We have more in common than we do in difference. We all want Niskuna to be a community that we love and that we live in. Finally, I'm a social worker. I can understand the increase of the water bill can be daunting for small businesses and families. Just a couple personal things. I know Councilwoman Brennan personally. She's a social worker like me, and she's a founder of Now, if you don't know, which is Nutrition on the Weekends, which delivers food to families that are insecure food for over a decade. I also know Supervisor Puccioni personally. What I can tell you is she's a person who is personally sensitive and aware of stress of financial burdens to families. So I am confident she, along with Councilwoman Brennan and the rest of the board, will ensure to make every effort that families and small businesses are giving accommodation. As we continue to speak out and be advocates for our town, let's be passionate, let's be respectful, let's see each other as neighbors, not as enemies. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ashok Ramasubramanian. I live in 2023 Arcona Court, and I'm here to talk about water, which seems to be a favorite topic these days. So, as many have pointed out, when I first saw the water bill, I was very surprised at how high it was. I want to take this opportunity to put things in a somewhat national and global context and point out that the water issue is not unique to our town. So the United Kingdom recently had a new government. So Keir Starmer is their new prime minister. And the first issue on their agenda is to make sure there is a 21% increase in water bills, a 21% increase in water bills. This is nationwide for the UK to be faced in over 5 years. Why? Well, apparently the previous administration had some improper bookkeeping that borrowed from surplus in some sort and managed to keep the water bills artificially low. Sounds familiar. And in one of the first meetings, Supervisor Puccioni said the water bills have been artificially low, and now we are bring it up to speed. And it was acknowledged by the supervisor and the board that communication could have been better. And as somebody else has pointed out, we are finally bringing it in line to what it probably should be. Water is a precious resource, and as population increases, these things are going to play out worldwide and not just in Niskayuna. There are several states in the United States that restrict water use for things like lawn irrigation. The UNICEF, United Nations Children's Education Fund, estimates that 4 billion people worldwide experience severe water shortage at least one time a year. And, there's been a lot of talk about conservation and avoiding waste. The town has a standing offer to have inspectors in our homes to catch leaks and such. So I hope we can come together as a community and think about innovative solutions and really work together. Lastly, I'm an immigrant to this country, and this is my adopted home. And I've been very concerned about the amount of polarization that's been happening nationwide, and I was deeply saddened to see such polarization creep into our town as well. I'd like to finish by reading from Abraham Lincoln's inaugural address from 1861. And I honestly, firmly believe the following. Lincoln's words: "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature." Thank you.
Linda Rizzo, 2229 Fairlawn Parkway. The utility fee hike has placed an unreasonable burden on the taxpayers. In addition to being burdened with this, they also have high property taxes. My question is, when are you going to hold the comptroller's office accountable for stating initially this increase was $64? I believe that both Jason Moskowitz and, correct me if I'm wrong, John Delarada said that they were voting for that, and they would not have voted if they knew how high the fees would be for the residents. I'm very concerned about that too, because we're saying that you need the money because previous administrations put you in a deficit, which is questionable because they said they didn't. But if you're so careful about money, why do you hire people without interviewing? Why do you take, especially when they earn the salary of $139,000, which is the comptroller's salary? Now, I'm not faulting the comptroller. If you wanted to hire me for $140,000 and not have interviews, I'd gladly take the job. I'm faulting the supervisor and the board. And even at the reappointment of this person, no one, and I mean no one on the board, said, I think we need an interview process. If you're a good person and you're competent, you'll still get the job. I sort of call that political when you hand out jobs of $139,000 with no accountability. Now, Jason Moskowitz and John Delarada, again, stated they voted for the increased fee because they were told it was $64. What are you going to do to resolve this? If the town has to keep raising fees and taxes, then they need to have a moratorium on all unnecessary spending. Now, let's move on to the PR firm for community outreach. If you cared about the community outreach, there would be no 3-minute limit placed on taxpayers. No one would be looking at their watch as people are speaking. No one would be smirking. You need a PR firm to convince residents that maybe your quest for raises is needed, that the utility fee hike was justified, or you need a PR firm to polish up your image for political reasons at the taxpayer's expense. This explanation that this is being paid for with someone else's salary doesn't impress me, because this is just a smokescreen. Down the road, the taxpayers will incur the expense. They incur the expenses when you get grants that pay for something. Once the grants go, we pay for the upkeep. I and others support Jason's resolution, not because of political reasons. I have talked to many residents in this community from various sectors, and they are upset about this water fee hike. Even if they can afford to pay it, they are upset about the way it was handled. They're upset about the lack of transparency, and they want something done about it. I do support, as others do, Jason's resolution. He owes it to us. And so does John Delarada, who said they wouldn't have voted for this if they knew it was going to be more than what they were initially told, $64. So I'm asking, how are you going to rectify it? However, we need a permanent solution to this problem, a solution that benefits the taxpayers and not just the town. What you have done is just benefiting the town. It is not benefiting the taxpayers. Thank you.
Yes, that's fine if you come up as the next person.
My name is Joseph Harrer. I live on Lexington Parkway in Niskuna. So I would like to talk about a little research that I did. I looked at the budgets from 2007 to 2022. I couldn't get 2023, it's not out. We're half a year into 24, we don't have the budget on 23. But anyway, from 2007 to 2017, the District 6 sewer department built up an appropriated fund balance of at least $2.8 million. In 2018, when you had the thing down on Whitmire Drive, the wastewater treatment plant was put online with the anaerobic digester. You made certain revenue assumptions. You assumed that you were going to make $1.3 million in 5 years. What you made was $2,000. So there was a shortfall there, you might say. What you did then, you took $930,000 from the appropriated fund balance, and you balanced the budget with that. So as a consequence, people in Sewer District 6 were paying less than they should have been paying, because you were using this slush fund which is sort of an insurance policy. If something goes wrong, you have some money to fix it. So that's why now people say, well, my bill has gone up. Yeah, your bill went up because the base that you're using is a phony base. It's not the right base. You should have been charging the right amount of money. Now, I think Mr. Moskowitz has a resolution, tonight, 2024 oh no, it's not that one. Well, anyway, he has a resolution that you're going to vote on tonight, 192. And in it, he suggests that you use the appropriate fund balance to sort of tide people over. I don't think that's right. I think the can has been kicked down the road far enough. You're at the end of the road. You're doing the right thing. I think by paying the bill that comes in. Now you may. I see my time is up. You may be able to make some savings, within that budget, but I don't think you should use the appropriate fund balance anymore. It has a purpose, and you should use it for that purpose, not to balance unbalanced budgets. Thank you.
Good evening. I have to get up again very early and travel out to Western New York. And I must say it's very nerve-wracking standing up here. I'm sure you all must know that.
Would you state your name, please?
Oh, okay. It's Beth Jacobs, 1131 Van Antwerp Road. And the presentation, I'm not going to say nice because it's the wrong word, but the Native Americans are effectively exterminated. That's their language. Not only 10% remain. And I know at least the Mohegans wanted in any of these land acknowledgements to be established that they were forcibly removed and that women and children were murdered during that. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a victory lap. I'm well aware of that, and it's making me think about contacting my great uncle on my father's side, my relatives on that side, and I will not say their names, but that would not be a very pleasant experience. But I assure you they would not take this lightly either. Okay, so what I'm holding in my hand is the water thing, and for those of us that don't make a lot of money, you need water to live, right? So this is from the water main break and the valve break back in May. So I'm bringing these because this is to let us know that water back on a legal notice, and it states the time. The original notice that we received was an improper notice. I happened to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, and go out and check the mail. And I saw this there with no timestamp on it, which is the law. Had I not gotten up and gone out there, I would not have realized. In this state's low water pressure, there was no water. So again, you couldn't flush the toilet, you couldn't do anything. The supervisor had the day off. There was no water put out by the town. So when I look at this note, that is not legal because it doesn't have the start hour. I mean, we'd assume that the water was cut off at 12:01 a.m. It makes me wonder about all of this policy. And I cannot stress enough that children, the elderly, women, and people on medications dehydrate much faster than anybody else. The average person in this country who's homeless is a woman and her child. The average low-income person, and there aren't many of them here because we don't have low-income housing, is a woman and a veteran and her kids. So you guys may think that this water rate is just an inconvenience. For many women and their kids and the elderly, it may mean the difference between, do I take my medication? Can I afford my medication? Do I pay my rent? Or do I drink the water? And they may go to sleep at night because it's a very common way to die, dehydrated or dehydrated for the medications or their age or their weight, and die. So this is not a game. And even though my grandfather was a city of Schenectady cop for a very long time and made it into the paper for pushing a little girl to safety when a car plowed through a crosswalk, I don't want town officials in my home. I really don't, to go over the pipes and see what's wrong. So this is not an inconvenience. This is life and death. And if the town couldn't get this water notice right, why are we to believe that the rest of the information you're giving out about this exorbitant fee is right? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tommy Nicky, 1604 Lexington Parkway, and 2209 Knott Street, the Broken Inn in Niskuna. Forgive me, I actually don't have any prepared words. I didn't know I was coming tonight until I read the agenda. I want to applaud you for recognizing the need for communication in town, public affairs, public relations. I think that's great. I do take issue with resolution 2024-23. I did take a look at it, obviously. I read it a little bit deeper. In one of my other professions, I'm responsible for the social media of that connects with 3.5 million users across platforms on a daily basis. We're going to spend $160 an hour for 4 hours a week to ask an organization to, in the words of this, effectively communicate with the local media, the public, and other key groups. I think it's good that we effectively communicate with local media, so I don't read stories from Ted telling me what's going on in town. And no offense to Ted, but I'd rather get them directly. Connecting with the public, I think that's paramount, obviously. I think it's the most important thing that we can do. I will tell you that in this proposal, or the contract that was sent from this group that is based out of Buffalo, although I do have an office in Albany and remote people who are in Schenectady, it's $160 an hour for 4 hours a week. I think we've all acknowledged that if we had more time, we could do more. I don't think 4 hours a week is adequate. I think $160 an hour is exorbitant. It's $15,000 over 6 months. And what stands out to me the most is that the following elements are not included in the fee. And then the fourth one down is social media management. So essentially, we're going to enter into an agreement at $160 an hour to not connect with people in the way that they want to be connected with or connected to. I'm something of a community and connection person, so I brought these because I think they're unbelievably cool. I have what's called the Niskuna Bulletin. They used to put these out in the mail every month. I have every one of them from 1957 to 1970. And what's in these, I don't know if anybody here remembers, and you probably remember the Niskuna Bulletin.
I remember.
So I have all the Niskuna Bulletins from 1957 to 1970, and these were put together by people who are in the community. And if you want, I can leave some as long as you promise to give them back. But these were people in the community who wanted other people in the community to know what was going on in their community. It was written by people who live here, for people who live here, to make a personal connection with people who live here. Thank you. And so if we're going to spend $15,000 over 6 months to, again, effectively communicate with the public, I think the best way to do that would be to find people who are local, who know how to utilize social media, because we have a problem with communication, clearly, as you've all admitted. I wouldn't have known this was going on tonight if I hadn't gone to the Niskuna Town website to then go to another page, to then pull the agenda, to then read it. There are so many great things going on in our town. I love our town. I love the people in our town. I can't find any of them on Niskuna social media. We don't have an Instagram page. $160 an hour is not going to give us one. We haven't posted on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, since September 30th, 2022. That's 662 days. And our Facebook page for our town has more followers than the Facebook page of the Martin Group. So while I love the idea of investing in communication, the way to do it is through social media, and it's through finding someone local who makes a personal connection that makes people want to be involved and connected even more so. That's it. Thank you.
Are you on this going to ring?
What?
Are you getting this going to ring?
No, but let's talk later when somebody else is done.
I have one more thing to say. Jamie, I've watched every speaker that got up here, and everybody's eyes are on the speaker, except for you. You're looking around the room, looking at your watch, playing on your phone, and that's very, very disrespectful.
This is great. This is great. I mean, there's one here
Stop
by
shaking
Judge
your head,
Riley when he was a
Jamie.
little kid. He's a retired judge right now. That's awesome stuff. And he's, yeah, that's awesome.
With a big Stella Rosa smile, works.
Good evening. Thanks, that's good. My name is Haney Santana. I'm at 815 Trottingham Drive.
Can't hear you.
Hello? Okay.
That's better.
Okay. Haney Santana, 815 Trottingham Drive. I'd like to say thank you to the supervisor for being those comments about the beginning of the meeting. I appreciate that very much because I don't like getting heckled by people standing in the back. But I have two questions. One is what happened to the money, the fund balance that was there previously? I don't think I've heard an answer to what actually happened to the money. And Matt Yetto is here. He can also, if he can chime in, to have any answer concerning that. My second question is that, and this is a rumor, but I'm going to ask you, that you are secretly recording residents when they call into town hall. I don't know why you would do that, but wouldn't it be just simpler to put a disclaimer saying all calls are being recorded for quality or training purposes instead of secretly recording residents? I did go to a council person and I asked them, was this true? And they said they were legally not able to answer my question. So that's all I'm going to say tonight. I'd just like to know what happened to the money. And are you really doing that? And if so, why? And that's it. Thank you.
I don't know how to say this, but it sounds like a lot of people here are depressed.
Would you please state your name?
Osman, and
Thank
used to be from Niskayuna. Not giving out my address for my safety. I've had way too many attacks on me in the last 4 months. Lucky to be alive. So I've tried reaching you on multiple occasions, Jamie. I've left you voicemail after voicemail. I mean, I might go over my time limit, which is why I wanted to call you ahead of time and discuss the concerns and to also be respectful. I've been through a lot in the last 5 years. I know the world has changed. I know there's a lot of polarization, vitriol in the air. I get all of it. But I feel like this is probably one of the most depressing town board meetings to go to. My mom has depression and type 2 diabetes, and I don't hear her moaning and groaning. I get that people come here to redress grievances, but a little bit of positivity won't hurt. You don't know what I've been through in the last 4 months. Like I said, I'm lucky to be alive. My mother's landlord trespassed me off the property. Unstable police department chasing me around, arresting me for just simply coming here to take care of my family. I live 45 minutes away. I had to move out of the apartment complex due to my mother's neighbors. Called every civil rights attorney, every landlord-tenant relations attorney, gone to my elected officials, the attorney general, the Justice Department, the FBI, everybody. So I don't know where else to go, be honest with you. And I used to be proud being from this town. Graduated from this high school, class of 2019, just a few years ago. Played high school football here. And this is what I get. And yet when I ask for help, all of a sudden I'm a criminal. Well, maybe it's because you don't like Muslims. But hey, I'll leave that up to you. I don't care. It ain't the first time I've heard that from someone or the last time. But guess what? I don't go around bragging about it because I really don't care about race. There's a saying, equal justice under the law. All men and women are created equal by the Creator. Well, I don't see that these days. What I'm trying to express here, so that way people can understand my grievance and concern, is you got to have a little more oversights over these apartment complexes. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. Obviously, the tenants there won't come and express those concerns here. Yeah, I've gone over my time, but you let someone else go 2 minutes over. So to be fair to me, please understand that I've done everything I can. I've come to you guys for help. I don't know what else to do. You also have a police officer who's unstable by the name of Officer David Powell, who's constantly harassing me, harassing my family. I've gone to the police chief and respectfully addressed these concerns. He's like, oh, you started it. It's your fault. How? How? Because I redressed the grievance? It's protected under the Constitution. Got a Bill of Rights like everybody else. So what's so criminal about that? Oh, he's anti-law enforcement. How am I anti-law enforcement? A bachelor's degree is in criminal justice. I wanted to become a cop. Not in today's environment, because it's unsafe, and not just unsafe. You do your job, you'll be thrown under the bus. You don't do your job, you get thrown under the bus. So I understand the concern, but at the same time, though, what I'm trying to express here is this town really needs to get it together. You fired the deputy chief last year. You've had so many officers that have transferred out of this department. You have residents, they want to leave this town. I was once proud, like I said, to be from here, not anymore. So my concern is, with all due respect, please fire Officer David Powell for the safety and well-being of this town, at least my safety and well-being. I don't feel comfortable driving on your streets because of this officer, because of this cop. He ain't even from this area. I'm at least from here. Been living here 10 years. I did not want to talk like this. And I did not want to add to the negative vitriol. And Jamie, I understand you've had a lot of attacks on your character. I've had attacks on my character. I empathize and sympathize with you. I say it from my heart. But however, and please look at me when I'm talking. I'm giving you eye contact as I'm talking to you. Come on. Show a little respect over here. Okay? I was going to bring my mom, my brother, but I didn't, because you know why? My mother's sick and no one else can watch my brother. Please, I'm asking nicely for the last time. Please, Fire Officer David Powell, please stop attacking residents when they come here with concerns. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Okay, we'll move on to I'm sorry, we'll move on to committee reports. Thank you so much.
I realize it's a privilege and I would appreciate a moment to speak. Thank you. Good evening, Board and Madam Supervisor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Nancy Strang. I am a 50-year-plus resident of the town of Niskayuna. I live in the home I grew up in and raised my 3 children in. We were all very fortunate to go to Niskayuna schools. I'm proud to live here. And I'm proud to say that I appreciate the board's work. I appreciate that we fly a pride flag out in front of Town Hall. That's way overdue. Way overdue. We now show our youth their importance and that we embrace them. I'm grateful that we have a grant to examine the Route 7 corridor. I live on Route 7, and I've seen accidents like you wouldn't believe. And so I'm very pleased. Thank you, Madam Supervisor, for assisting in that grant. It's very important. We have thousands of people that go down that corridor every day to work, to and from, in addition to the Niskayuna residents. And it's time that that got changed. Too many accidents are happening. There's people that have died there, right out in front of Bellevue. Helicopters, I remember coming down and picking people up and taking them to Albany Med. That's got to stop. We need to find out how to make that corridor safer. I would like to thank you, Madam Supervisor, and the board for taking on a task that the previous administration left you. You've been asked and made to make decisions that are not easy and they're not popular, but it's necessary. We can't continue operating the way we have been. I thank you and the town board for your support, that you support the community the way you do. And thank you for this time to speak.
Okay. Moving on to our committee reports. We'll start with Police and Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Police and Public Safety Committee met on July 9th at 5:45 PM. We are continuing our training this month. We completed a patrol rifle school at the range on the 15th. Detective Munger attended the New York State Drone Summit Syracuse State Fair today, and he'll be going again tomorrow. This is for ongoing training as well as networking. Detective Munger and Officer Camanzo will be attending FARO workshop from the 29th to the 31st. This is regarding a county high-tech equipment map out, 3D mapping training. This would be to reconstruct traffic accidents and crime scenes. And we're also looking to partner with the school district to map out the school buildings for safety if they would like to partner with us on that. Under town events, you had Coffee with a Cop every third Tuesday. Chief Goshen does that at the Senior Center. And Target was also conducted Coffee with a Cop at the Starbucks there on the 18th from 12 to 2. And this has actually become a monthly event, so we're really excited for the warm welcome there at Target. We have the Niskayuna Farmers Market Saturdays from July 6th through October 12th from 8:30 to 12:30, and our officers are assisting with traffic direction there. The traffic circle changed a little bit there. We added town attorney to our court business. So under court and a town attorney business, our bus patrol trials, we have 50 pending hearings for our bus patrol program. That's the program where if somebody passes the stopped bus, school bus stop sign, they'll get a ticket. And we have 50 pending hearings for that. And we had a total of 864 issued citations as of July 9th. 864. For dog control, we have 8 pending hearings for under dog control. We discussed that there's an increase in the hearings, there's an increase in bites and high usage of our dog barks. They're pretty full. And we discussed some ideas of how to limit usage or control it better, make it safer. Town Attorney Finnan's working with us on that. For fire department, we of course talked about the retirement of Chief Dale Lingenfelter and his 38 years of service, 18 as a chief, which we all celebrated earlier today. And we also congratulated Chief James Venna on his new position as Chief of Fire District 1. We're very excited for this position for him. For school district, we're also continuing to look at the speed zones over by Craig and Rosendale. And for personnel, we have a resolution tonight to appoint a police officer, Emily Walker. She comes to us from Cohoes Police Department with 1 year of service, and she's very confident, competent, and ready to go officer. So we're very excited for that vote tonight. And under other, we're moving forward with our National Night Out on August 6th at Town Hall at 6 o'clock. And our resolutions tonight are to appoint Emily Walker as police officer, and we have the ceremonial resolution that we already voted on for Chief Lingerfelter. And our next meeting is August 13th at 5:45.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Moving on to Highway, Parks, and Recreation.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Highway Parks and Recreation met on July 3rd. Ray Smith from our Highway Department reported that the crews are continuing to be out taking care of our town roads, patching and prepping the roads in some areas for paving for our second round of paving. Those roads will be Shannon, Macaulay, Algonquin, Cayuga, Mohegan. So just to be aware that those are some of the areas that we're going to be paving in the town. He also reported that the pavilions at River Road, we're working over in that park, making upgrades over there. We've had some playground equipment that got damaged. We're ordering replacement parts for that equipment and replacing the mulch at River Road Park. We discussed a purchase of a pickup truck and plow, and this is actually from over a year ago. It was very difficult to find some of this equipment, so we have found a piece of equipment, and this is all budgeted for equipment. We continue to pick up the yard waste in the town. This year seems to be a little bit heavy, so we've been running a third truck picking up yard waste in the town to make sure that when residents put it out, it gets picked up on a timely basis. We have a tentative resolution. We discussed a tentative resolution about hiring a grounds maintenance worker. Someone spoke about hiring in the public comment periods, and we have all budgeted positions and we have open positions in the town. If you've come to any of these meetings or watched these meetings, I continually speak about open positions that we have in here in the town. Some of these positions have been vacant for over a year. So that puts extra strain on our other employees in the town to do the work that we have to do. It's very difficult to find people, as you know. We continue to do everything we can to fill our vacancies. These are all budgeted. These are not new hire positions. These are positions that we've had in the town for years, and we're just trying to fill them. Okay. We also do Parks and Rec at this meeting. Lori, the person that's in charge of that, she was not at the meeting, but her assistant was there and reported that the pool's been open. Things are going very well with the pool and the swim team. Our summer camps are very strong. Arts and crafts and other camps that we provide for our residents in the town. The farmers market opened up on July 6th. If anyone hasn't been here for the farmers market, I definitely recommend you come. It's a great event every Saturday here. We have a lot of local vendors that bring their farm vegetables and fruits and all sorts of other things here for the farmers market. So if you're available, please come on Saturdays. We also had a discussion during our parks meeting about some organizations that use our parks and rent our parks and some of our facilities, and that some of the organizations that have been doing that may not be following the rules and contracts that are set forth by the town. So we had a bit of a discussion with that, and we're going to continue to work to make sure that the organizations and the clubs that use our facilities follow the rules that the town has set forth. And this is to protect all of our facilities and our residents. Senior Center update. We want to again thank the Daisy Troop that came down there and planted flowers at the Senior Center. We have a lot of programs going on down at the Senior Center, indigo dyeing, mahjong, trips to Proctor's for events. So lots of things going on there. They have a Facebook page. They also have a link from the town website to all the activities that they have down there. It's an extensive list. As Council Moskowitz knows, he reported often on it. They have a lot of programs going on down there. So those are my two reports. Our next meeting will be August 1st. I just want to add a couple of items. I know a resident asked about repair on Knott Street there by the co-op. So that's a county road. We're continuing to work with the county to try to get that area repaved. Hopefully that will happen soon. Again, two agencies. Again, we keep working with the county to try to get that taken care of, and hopefully that will be taken care of soon. The AED resolution that's in here, we worked extensively on that with a deputy town attorney who has a lot of experience with that. This attorney happens to also work with a local college and is very, very familiar with this. As I said earlier, we work with Chief Lingerfelter on this. It was very involved, and the state kind of put this out, and we're one of the municipalities that is really going to be in the forefront of getting this out and doing what the state is required. It's kind of extensive. I know you spoke about the training, and we have town employees that will be trained on that, but also if a coach or another person has been trained on AED, they will be able to stand in, and we don't need to expense a town person to be there for the AED. So just wanted to make a note about that. Sort of in closing, I want to thank everyone this evening for being respectful. And this is our government, okay? All of us. This is our town, okay? We're very happy to have all you residents come here and speak to us. It gets a little, I won't say boring, but you know, we have meetings when only our town department heads are here. We're here to listen to you. You elected us. Every board member up here works for you, and we take that responsibility very seriously. We also take the finances very seriously of this town. And it is our job to be fiduciary in those responsibilities. This is your money, and we take it seriously. But we also have to plan for the future, okay? And we can't always do what everyone wants. We do the best that we can to be responsible for all the residents in the town. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but again, we are doing the best that we can. Often there's ways to get from A to B. Maybe there's 10 different ways to get from one place to another. Raising taxes every year. Maybe that's one way to do it. Maybe you don't raise taxes some years, but then you have to raise taxes another year. That's another way to do it. Fees are another way. There are many different ways, but please know that we all take the responsibility of the finances of this town very seriously, and we are looking out for your interest and the town's interest. That's all I have, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilmember McPartlin. Water, Sewer, and Engineering.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The Water, Sewer, and Engineering Committee met earlier this month on July 3rd. In the interest of full transparency, I was not able to attend that meeting, but I did watch the live stream as it was occurring. And thanks to Councilmember McPartlin for standing in his chair for that meeting. I appreciate it. Superintendent of Water and Sewer Matt Yetto gave the committee an update on the state-mandated lead service inventory project that is currently ongoing. Our summer intern is continuing to assist with the project and has identified several areas throughout the town using maps dating back to the 60s that are most likely to have lead pipes. We're at the point now where crews will soon start doing some minor digging in the areas that were identified. And our records and digging will only show lead pipes that lead from the street to the curb stop. Anything from the curb stop into a resident's home is considered owned by the homeowner. But we will also be working with residents to identify lead pipes in homes, and public outreach on that will be forthcoming. More than likely, the lead will only be found leading up to the curb stop, and depending on age, copper is normally what's found going into individually owned homes. But like I said, this project is ongoing and more information will be following shortly. Unrelated to the lead inventory project, but related to lead, and just for everyone's information, the town did recently complete water testing to check for lead and copper by taking 36 random water samples throughout the town. This is something we do on a regular basis every few years, and we have never had an issue before, but of course we look forward to seeing the most recent results. An update on the wastewater treatment plant. As I've been reporting every month, we've been making significant progress with our organic waste program. And we have been working with DEC for approval to accept organic wastes other than the fats, oils, and greases that we currently accept. It has been a lengthy process, but we have officially been granted approval from DEC to begin a pilot program accepting whey at our plant, and we plan to begin accepting those deliveries next month. Also tonight, we will be voting to approve a contract with Adirondack Septic, another septic hauler, to haul their organic waste to our plant. At River Road Park, sewer installation for the new splash pad is complete, and we will be voting in the near future to award the contract for installation of the actual splash pad. And the only resolution I have not yet mentioned that's on tonight's agenda is a resolution to authorize modification of one of our currently existing dump trucks. Our committee meets normally on the first Wednesday of every month. We're working on possibly selecting a new date due to some scheduling conflicts. So for August, our meeting will be on the first Thursday of the month, August 1st at 9 a.m. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilmember Moskowitz. Economic Development, Historic Preservation, and Environmental Conservation Committee.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor and my fellow council people. I do chair the Economic Development, Historic Preservation, Environmental Conservation Committee. And within that committee, just as within my position on the town board, there is a constant balancing act going on. We have to constantly balance between things that we actually need and things that we actually want. We have to balance between smart economic growth, and we have to balance between securing and maintaining the character of the neighborhoods. We We have to balance against having too much commercial activity in a property and too much traffic against having no commercial activity and having not enough commercial traffic and not enough tax income or revenue. It's a constant balancing act that we have to go through. And there was a lot said here tonight by a lot of very good people. I agree, and we agree with most of the people that came up and spoke today. I certainly agree with Mrs. Franchild's comments. I've been listening to Mrs. Franchild's comments for probably over 10.
Ms. Fairchild.
I'm sorry, Miss Franchild for over 10 years, and she always has good things to say. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with, just as many other of the comments here. Mrs. Strange's comments were very good. We do appreciate all of you, but we cannot make you all happy. We just can't, right? There are always competing interests that the town has, that the town board has to resolve. There's nothing that we can do about most of that stuff. We're going to make decisions that benefit the whole town as best we can, but there's always going to be a negative impact on some of our decisions on some of our town residents. If we're a good politician, we're not making people happy. If we're a good politician, we're not gaining votes every year. Let me tell you something. When I was first elected, I got over 4,000 votes. Everybody liked me because I didn't do anything yet, right? I didn't do anything good, but I didn't do anything bad. I got over 4,000 votes. I lost 600 votes in the last decade. And I am not ashamed of that, because that means that I must be doing my job. Because if I'm doing my job, I'm not making everybody in this room happy, because it's just not possible to run a town like that. It's not possible to run a business like that. It's not possible to run a corporation like that. Most, if not all of you townsfolk do understand that. We understand the frustration when times that we have to make people absorb some negative impacts by trying to do some good for the town. And we really appreciate you folks coming tonight and letting us know that. Because if you don't let us know, we can't try to correct our mistakes. We can't try to do what you folks want us to do. And I do really appreciate everybody's comments tonight being civil, because that goes a long way in accomplishing what you folks are saying. So given all of that, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And I do want to thank our supervisor for making difficult decisions, right? She's got a lot of people here that don't like this decision that she made. Now, there's going to be some people that really do like the decision, right? There's 26,000 people in this town. We may have 100 people here. I'm not saying that the other 25,000 people love us, but many of those people are benefiting because some of you folks are not, right? We're not raising everybody's taxes to try to subsidize some people that are kind of getting screwed here, not to put it another way, but because your rates are going up because of where you live and how much water you use. There's a negative impact on you because not raising everybody's taxes. So people that don't use as much water or live in an area where it's less expensive to use that water don't have to subsidize the other folks. That's just one little aspect of all the decisions that we make. Can't make them all happy, but we do try our best to do. And as Councilperson McPartlin said, we do take the fiscal responsibility of this town very, very seriously. And that's why this decision was made. Now, did we foresee all the negative impacts? Probably not. Clearly, we didn't, because we have people that came here tonight. We certainly didn't want you folks to feel the pain that you're feeling. But in the big scheme of the whole town, at the time that we did this, we felt it was the right thing to do. Right now, we're listening to everybody. We are going to continue to listen to everybody. And if there's some way that we can fix this, hopefully we can. That, I hope, will just give some understanding of the position that the board member's in, and that we are trying to solve the problems by listening to you and seeing what we can do. I do want to thank you all again. Madam Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilmember De La Rada. Okay, we will now be moving on to our resolutions, and we will go a little out of order because we have an officer to swear in this evening. So we'll begin with resolution number 2024-179, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring a police officer in the Niskuna Police Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Again, we're all really excited that Emily Walker will be joining our force. She just exudes competence and confidence and is, really talked to us about ready to jump in and be part of the team. She just joins our ever-expanding diversified force. She'll be our 5th female officer, and we're really excited to have her. So welcome, hopefully, if everyone votes.
All right. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Emily. Please place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Emily Walker, do solemnly swear
I, Emily Walker, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd just like to, come on up for a picture. Yep. And I would just like to acknowledge the best baby in the whole world, this little baby right here.
Oh my God, she's got this.
I like it.
I'm soon. All right.
Good.
All right. Okay, we'll go to the top of the resolutions, starting with Resolution 2024-172. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution certifying the current base proportions to be used as class tax shared for municipal and school district levies.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-173, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution certifying the adjusted base proportions to be used as class tax shares for municipal and school district levies.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-174, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a grounds worker in the Parks Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-175, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring a student worker for the Planning and Building Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Laura, I see the rate on here is $12. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. All right, no other discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-176, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring a student worker.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number
77.
There might be a mistake on one or two of the numbers.
2024-177.
A resolution authorizing the disposition of certain town-owned surplus vehicles.
Could we get a second on that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Can you call the roll,
Any-
please?
Any discussion? Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes. All right. Resolution 2024-178, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into service agreements. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now,
Is there any
that's not
discussion?
listed properly on the document in our folder here.
Okay.
It's,
Oh.
it says 2024-23. That's supposed to be 2024-178.
178.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. So I make a motion that we
Is it a typo?
change the resolution number to 2024-178.
178. That's what it is.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's not,
Yep,
we gotta
I will
kind
do
of
that.
go, we gotta go
course.
with what's in the packet here.
Yep.
So
All
we
right.
need a second for
Yes,
that
second,
change,
please.
please.
Second.
Thank you.
Is
Okay.
there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
This is on the
On the-
resolution to amend?
The amend.
Command, yep.
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes. Okay. And then I'll call the roll for the resolution as amended. Councilmember Moskowitz.
I do have a couple concerns with this resolution, and I reached out earlier for some clarification, and I truly appreciate the response and the information and feedback I received back. My concern, though, is that for the remainder of the year, the cost to retain this firm is just over 15,000. And if we were to renew our agreement for the next calendar year, 12 months, the retainer would be 31,000. And two of the things that this company will be assisting us with is press releases, creating content for our monthly newsletters, which are very informative, and sort of bringing attention to major events in town. And while I think that's great, and I do think we could use some assistance with that, I don't feel it's a responsible use of taxpayer dollars to pay tens of thousands of dollars for press releases and monthly newsletter content, which are highly skilled and qualified employees are currently doing and have been doing for decades.
Councilmember Delarada? Oh, so,
Are we open to discussion?
oh, part of
Is
the
that what-
discussion, excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I just have some notes on that because I did see your emails. And one thing is that this confidential secretary did request 30,000 be removed from her budget in order to have experts do this job of increasing communication with the public, increasing transparency, helping with general budget communications, helping with topics from department meetings, committee meetings that might be special attention topics that the public might need to know more about. Prioritizing topics for monthly newsletters. So we're making sure that we're hitting on the most important highlights of our community programs, upcoming events, senior center happenings, doing our town logo communication, public meeting notice communication, press release, and community distribution strategies. This just hits so many issues that our community's been telling us they are looking for. I know the school district, just on the person they have, is $135,000. That's not including like all the extras. That's just for the human being, not for any of the papers they send out and the mailers they send out. So this is very reasonable, especially when our employee is saying, I want some expert help here, and I think our community deserves that. So those are just my thoughts.
It's also, I mean, the contract is just through the rest of the year, so it's something where if it needs to be revisited, it can be revisited very shortly, and anything that is found to be missing or it could be done differently could be addressed at that point. But this also gets us through the year at a reasonable rate as compared to what other firms or even other organizations in the town are paying for their resources. So, and it expands upon the things that, as you said, town employees were already doing. This will now allow someone else to do it so they can focus in on what their other obligations were in addition to having to do those press releases or whatever you did mention.
The individual who works in my office who requested this support, Erin Cassidy Dorian, she gave up half of her salary in order to be able to budget for this. So a highly qualified woman agreed to come and work in my office for a very minimal salary. I don't know, something close to $30,000. Thank you. And when I convinced her to take on this role, she agreed to cut her salary to get this service. So thank you for working for very little to do this really hard job.
And if I could say one more thing, to pull the curtain back a little bit more, I mean, Erin does do a lot. And so what she's paid for what she does is astronomical. I mean, she really is a glue person, and all the things that, you know, even just like calendaring stuff, I know I can go to Erin because I'm still using, you know, basically AOL, and I know I can go to her for technology stuff, and she does everything. She is the glue person. So, you know, if this can also help her as well, that's a huge benefit, not just to the supervisor's office, but also for the town, because she does do so much and allow her to continue to do so much. And again, you know,
I would
I've
also
seen-
like to add that the individuals who served in this capacity previously, confidential secretary role, have been paid double her salary easily. And there have been men. They've made over $60,000, $70,000. And she agreed to do this job for half that, just so she could pay, so we could hire communications help. So once again, women are doing extra work for half the money that their male counterparts are doing.
My interactions and work with Erin have been phenomenal. And I think that this is budget neutral. It's for 6 months. I don't know why we have to cut your salary in order to do this. Um, Obviously, by the residents coming here, speaking about the water rates, which this was talked about, we started this process over a year ago, and people had asked for, well, we want questions and answers and a presentation. We did all of that. We had all, the controller sat right there, gave many presentations about the water and sewer rates and how she came up with those rates. And these were at public meetings. So we did it. Maybe we got to do it again. And maybe
Across
if we-
departments. She didn't just come up with them. She went through all
Oh,
the
yeah.
departments.
During that process, we looked at every account in the town, and we found that there were commercial properties, businesses that were paying residential water rates. That isn't right. We found other discrepancies within the billing program and different properties in the town. It's our duty to correct those. That's what we have to do. We can't gloss over problems when we find them. So if we hire a public relations firm that's going to help us with some of those things and possibly recommend that we do more of these Q&As, more presentations, I'm in favor of that. Not so sure we need to cut your salary to do that.
No, I don't. I agree with you, Mr. McPartlin, but I think what we got to keep our eye on here is that we failed miserably in getting our message out to the town about the water bill, right? We failed. We are not public relations people. We're not. We're town board members. And we're town board members on a very part-time basis. We all have full-time jobs outside of this. So I hope nobody's expecting us to be public relations people, all right? And we got that wrong, obviously. So we're trying to correct that. And we're trying to correct that for what appears to me to be a pretty nominal amount of money in the big scheme of things. And I certainly don't like stripping $30,000 from a person who's been doing a very, very, very good job. But we'll try to address that at a future meeting. And regarding what our supervisor said about women being underpaid, right now, women are being under everything. I mean, if you're a man in this world, you've got it pretty damn easy, okay? Because women are doing everything right now. They are carrying children, they are procreating, they're giving birth, they are then raising children, and they're working on top of that, okay? You tell me what men do. We get a boo-boo, we go to the hospital, for Christ's sake. So I am not in favor of having a woman cut her salary in half to do a job that really isn't her job to begin with, because she's not a PR person. She's a confidential secretary that's got about 20 different job duties that she's got to handle. All that being said, I think this is a very reasonable amount of money, and it's a responsible use of money to try to correct a problem that we created. So I am in favor of this resolution.
Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
I appreciate and agree with everything that my colleagues here said. But I just keep going back to being a good steward of taxpayer dollars, and I vote no.
Councilman Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
And Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes. The resolution passes. Okay, we'll skip to Resolution 2024-180. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution amending Resolution 2024-28.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-181, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution amending resolution number 2024-143.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'm going to abstain from voting on this resolution. One of my relatives is a seasonal employee at the town pool. And although that relationship is not defined as relative by the code of ethics in the town, I'll abstain to avoid the appearance of any nepotism.
Thank you.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
4 yeses and 1 abstention.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-182, sponsored by. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution town's AED implementation plan as required health law.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I would like to thank everybody who put a lot of time and effort into this policy. It was a direct result of some legislation that was signed into law by the governor late last year. And a lot of time and effort went into this from the legal department, from the community programs department. So thank you to everybody who worked on this. And I look forward to the AEDs being installed in parks. I know there's some concern about some parts of the policy. And I think over time, as the policy is implemented, we can make changes. Policies are ever changing. But it's a great start, and I thank everybody who worked on it.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution 2024-183, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract for the receipt of organic waste at the town's wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-184, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada.
A resolution recognizing the launch of an electric vehicle campaign in the town of Niskuna for the Clean Energy Community Program.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-185, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring student videographer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution 2024-186, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing certain budgetary modifications.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2024-187, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please
A
read?
resolution appointing a person to the Planning Board and Zoning Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution 2024-188, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution awarding a contract for the purchase and installation of a third axle on a dump truck utilized by the town's water and sewer department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-189, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a pickup truck with plow for the Parks Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-190, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a senior network analyst.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-191, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution calling for a public hearing to solicit public comments on the redesigned official town logo as recommended by the Town Logo Working Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I do want to thank that committee for their hard work, as well as Councilmember Moskowitz. I know he was involved in that logo recommendation. I absolutely love it and am very excited to see it on all of our letterhead and other equipment. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-192, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution acknowledging the concerns of residents regarding recent change in utility billing practices.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
My intent and the purpose behind this resolution was simply to acknowledge that, and I think we've all acknowledged tonight, that residents, people who elected us to represent them, are unhappy. We didn't necessarily deliver what they expected. And I strongly believe that we need to take a close look at billing practice and recognize that what we delivered was not what was expected. I plan to discuss this a lot further at my committee meeting in a couple of weeks, and some solutions that I would like to investigate the legality of and bring forward to committee are, and again, just the potential to roll back the rates and find a way to provide a credit or a reimbursement, an independent audit of our water and sewer funds. As I've mentioned previously, a plan to gradually implement a rate structure if our research shows that we adequately need it to meet the needs of our systems. And after all this is done, I think we should go as far as a public hearing to give our residents the opportunity to speak regarding that one single issue.
I think this is a good resolution. I think it should be researched, and I look forward to the research and whatever that research may bring.
And I'm an attorney, so I don't do canned responses or anything. I'm just speaking. But I think this shows the board's commitment to resident feedback. And I appreciate that the Water and Sewer Committee will be undertaking further and future research. And, as a steward of taxpayer dollar, I hope that all members and chairs attend these meetings and all other meetings so we can, make sure the research is being done. So attendance is key.
So I'm supportive of this resolution. After we had the public hearing, we passed it, the residents came, spoke to us. I met with the town controller at least 6 times with some lengthy meetings, phone calls, emails, on top of 6 in-person meetings, going over figures, numbers, and got as much information as I could about this. I know the supervisor did the same, and I know that you fielded a lot of questions and a lot of phone calls from town residents in the last couple of months, as we all have. And, if, the Water and Sewer Committee wants to tackle this and dig into it even more, I'm very supportive of that. It's been a historical problem. This just didn't happen overnight. The board in the past was aware of the water rates and the needs. We also knew, as one of the residents spoke about, the wastewater treatment plant and the delay in bringing that online to bring in the organic waste, to bring in revenue from that. That was delayed for many reasons. I won't get into all of them, but it was delayed for 5 years. So, as you all are aware, we have an aging infrastructure in this town of both sewer and water. We couldn't have a board meeting here because the water main to this building sprung a leak. We talked about Knott Street earlier in the evening. Again, aging infrastructure. We have a water tower in the town that's going to cost probably $5 to $6 million to be serviced. We know that. We're looking at that very hard. We're looking at trying to get grants, but if we don't,
We applied for one and we didn't get it.
we did. Exactly. If we don't, we have to fix it. We can't, we have to take care of the facilities of the entire town. So these are all things that weigh on this board and the financial impact of all the residents. So I'm supportive of this. If we can come up with something, it's fantastic.
No other discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan. Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please
Second.
signify by saying, oh, please second.
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 All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we are adjourned.